welcome to the Business Perspectives for November 17, 2011. Tonight we're discussing the general investment climate, the private sector's wish list for an enabling environment. Please join us, we'll be right back.
The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Western Union, has recently been distinguished by receiving the 5-Star Quality Service Award from Western Union.
The 5-Star Quality Service Award signifies that the Chamber holds the gold standard in outstanding customer service, in being courteous, efficient, and transparent in the services we provide.
Can you receive superior customer service at any of our chamber locations?
Yes. Come and visit us today!
Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. Brothers Habet has been serving Belize for 28 great years, and we're celebrating bigger than ever with a month full of great deals and savings like 30% off select Moen products, 30% off butane water heaters, 20 to 30% off Hunter fans, 20% off all windows, 20% off all power tools and shop tools, 30% off compact fluorescent bulbs, and up to 80% off clearance items in our super yard sale. Also, win up to $3,000 cash this Christmas when you buy Berger paints. Too much deals for one commercial, so see store for details. Come, celebrate with us for huge pre-Christmas savings all month long. Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. 115 Barak Road, we're open through lunch.
Good evening and welcome to the Chamber's Business Perspectives. I am Celine Cleveland Gomez. The Business Perspectives is brought to you by Brothers Habet, D'Angelo's Press, Pandora's Window Box, and of course Idea Lab Studios. It is also brought to you by the Chamber's Western Union franchise, the only countrywide network and the only network with the 5-Star Award for Quality. We've been lapsed in doing this, but if you would like to give us your feedback and advice on the Business Perspectives, please do email us at businessperspectives@belize.org. It is my esteemed pleasure this evening to introduce the new host of the Business Perspectives. At the end of this month, I leave the Chamber, and with it, my duties as your host for the Business Perspectives. But the new host is, of course, no stranger to the Chamber, and he is, in fact, the Vice President for Industry on the Executive Council of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I am, of course, talking about Mr. Jose Alpuche. Jose?
Good evening.
Good evening and welcome. It is so nice to welcome you as a new host of the Business Perspectives.
Thank you, Celine. I know I'll have quite a gap to fill. I hope to be able to at least match it in substance. I can't match it in good looks, so I have to make up somewhere.
You have very high heels to fill, Jose.
Yeah.
Or heels or skirts, but yeah, okay. Well, it certainly is my pleasure to turn over the reins to you, and I have no doubt that you're going to do a superb job. So again, welcome. And with that, we go to break. We'll be right back.
This season, say happy holidays to your customers the personal way. Get your personalized corporate holiday greeting cards now at Idea Lab Studios, and we'll give you the design at 50% off with orders of 500 or more. Get your 2012 calendars ready too with custom desk, wall, and pocket calendars. Idea Lab Studios, where ideas take shape. Call us today at 223-6386 or visit our website at www.idealabstudios.com.
So why should you shop at CGI? Because they have it all. At CGI, they offer every promotional product you can dream of. T-shirts, pens, key holders, mugs, signs, full color banners, dickies, trophies and awards, jerseys, rubber stamps, embroidery, and so much more. When they say everything, they mean everything. All printed in their facility in Orange Walk with the highest quality at the best prices using state-of-the-art equipment. At CGI, they want you to have the best shopping experience possible. They are the promotional product powerhouse you need to get the job done. CGI looks forward to serving you. Call 322-2282 or 422-0151. CGI, products that promote.
Introducing eZone Belize, the fastest, most reliable way to ship internet purchases and just about anything to Belize. It's easy, affordable, and fast. We provide you with a personal U.S. address and ship twice a week direct to Belize for as low as $1.55 U.S. Ship it safely and reliably with eZone Belize. Call us at 322-2283 for details and start shipping today, or visit our website at getezone.com.
Today's world is filled with opportunities. Travel to exotic lands.
Things to do with your loved ones. Perhaps build your own new home.
Start that can't miss new business.
Send your kids to college.
Enjoy your grandkids when that time comes. And if you could gaze into a crystal ball right now, you might just see how you can make these dreams come true.
Ah, there they are. The professionals at RF&G Life Insurance. Protect your dreams with many life insurance options.
Pension plans, individual and group health insurance.
Also individual or group plans that help you pay for your dreams.
Speak to the professionals at RF&G Life Insurance today, because in life, it pays to get it right.
RF&G Life Insurance is a member of the Roe Group of Companies.
Welcome back. This evening we're discussing the general investment climate, the private sector wish list for an enabling environment. This evening we have distinguished guests. Let me start with the host of a few minutes ago, Mrs. Celine Cleland Gomez, who is still the CEO of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and of course Ms. Kay Menzies, who is the president of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Good evening,
Welcome.
everyone.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And I have to tell you, it's a little bit different being on this side of the panel, but I'm looking forward to it.
Now, to get right into the meat of the matter, Ms. Menzies, the enabling environment. Where are we and what do you see tops the wish list?
I think it's not hard to figure out where we are, and I think most people, for that matter, most business people would tend to say that we're nowhere near as far along the road as we ought to be. For most business people, even starting a business is a lot more complicated than we would wish it to be. We're looking at the situation right now. You have a fairly depressed economy. You have an increasingly depressed global economy. Europe is somehow in flames. The US is talking another recession. Asia's kicking, but they're a little far away for us. So we have to look to ourselves. There's nobody we can depend on to bring us what we need except ourselves. If we want investment, we have to create the climate for it. If we want to move ahead economically, we're the ones that have to do it. Yes, we need tourists from outside, we need certain things to come from outside, but to attract that, we have to be prepared, and we have to put out the welcome mat, as it were. You have somebody coming to visit, you turn on the lights, you make sure that you're leaving an impression of welcome. The question we have right now is how to do that, and that's what we've been working on, is to begin the dialogue of saying, this is what we need. Do we need more favorable taxes? Yes, we need tax reform. Things are very, very complicated when it comes to taxation. Do we need, are our financing costs satisfactory? Most business people tell us no. What about the red tape in terms of any of your legal dealings, any of your procedures for opening a business, for doing business, for closing a business? These are the things we ought to be looking at as a country. Not saying that the government has to on its own, the things that we ought to be looking at as a country.
You know, Jose, according to the latest World Investment Report, there's $1.24 trillion out there in foreign direct investment alone to be had. And you know, I've heard in discussions on our economy, why is it we need to be concerned with, you know, with what the rest of the world thinks of us, or why is it we have to worry about foreign direct investment? Because there is a direct and established correlation between investment and development, and if we continue to ignore that, it's to our peril. And when you look at the numbers, 1.24 trillion is what's out there to be had, and countries are going after it, and we absolutely need to you know, get with the program, because if you then look at what, you know, most of the reports are telling us are problematic about doing business in Belize. At the top of the list, you have, you know, crime and those related issues. Then you have taxes, access to financing, corruption. It's right up there. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, unless and until we recognize that these are issues that affect how we do business locally, but also how we develop, it's going to be a vicious cycle, and we're not going to be able to move ahead. And the problem is that nobody wants to talk about it. A lot of people pay it lip service. A lot of people, you know, rhetorically we say, oh yes, crime is a problem. But it's a very real problem for businesses locally and for investors going forward. And you know, I would suggest that at the top of the private sector wish list are policies and the creation of an enabling environment that attempts to address some of these issues.
Well, at the end of the day, you're suggesting that regardless of what we do, we have to get our domestic agenda or domestic environment put right, basically. It's not necessarily a differentiated approach for the foreign investor or the domestic investor. What we correct
it's not.
in terms of our
no, I
domestic
mean,
agenda.
for example, Celine touched on crime. If you're looking at the crime situation, when it comes down to it, businesses aren't opening as late as they used to because they're afraid they'll get held up. Some businesses have moved from where they were simply because they couldn't take it anymore. Some haven't been able to stay open because the costs of protecting themselves are too high. And you know, so in the end, the cost of doing business under a high crime environment is something that most small businesses can't sustain. Mm-hmm. A big business might be able to say, all right, well, you know, we'll add some security, or we already have security, whatever. The small businesses, most of all, will suffer. And in actual fact, then at that point, you're losing the base you need to start your economy. The base of the pyramid is small business.
And the thing is, it's not rocket science. I mean, you know, you just look at the development recipe for countries who are further advanced than we are, and they've got a few things right. Primarily, what they've learned to do is to determine where it is they fit in this world, and how it is they want to be known to the rest of the world. And you know, in general terms, it's a productive development policy. We need to sit down and decide what is it we're going to put our resources behind. You know, and we have the difference between Belize and several other countries is that we have options. Our natural endowments are such that we can pick and choose which ones, or all of them. You know, we want to advance. So, in my view, it's really just a matter of will, getting the right people to sit around the table and say, okay, this is going to be our productive development policy going forward. These are the sectors that we're going to throw our resources behind. These are the sectors that we want investment in, local or foreign, and this is the type of investment that we want. But it's an exercise that requires, you know, some discussion, a lot of discussion, vigorous debate, and agreement going forward. And I expect therein lies the problem.
I believe some of the fundamental work or the foundation work probably was done during the Horizon 2030 consultation. Yes. So we have had some movement, at least in discussing the very broad policies. It's now a matter
where we
of
want to go,
taking it from there to articulate a more in-depth more specific investment policy?
Yeah, well, and this is purely my view, but in my view, I think that Horizon 2030 established a framework. And now we have to say, okay, if we agree as a country that this is where we want to head, then these are the policies that we need to put in place to ensure that these sectors are advanced appropriately. And then in doing that, then you look at developing an investment policy that ensures that those are the sectors that you get investment in, and the type of investment and those types of things. But in order I mean, it's all well and good to put this on paper and say this is where we want to go. You have to in tandem address the issues that we just talked about: the crime, the corruption, the taxes, financing, education, all of that. But what those policies will do is serve to focus the discussion. So you know where to put the money in education, you know where to put the money in dealing with the crime issue, you know how to reorient your tax rates, so that at the end of the day, it's something that the private sector can work with. Incidentally, I also want to add for organizations like the Chamber, it serves to hone our focus, because we're multi-sectoral. If we knew where the country's priorities were, we would be able to much better serve those priorities. Because right now we have a limited set of resources that we have to share across all sectors. And it just means that the focus is diluted. And so, for business support organizations, if the country were, on one page saying this is what we support, this is where we want to go, everybody would know how to reorient themselves to serve that. And
But
I can't see that being a bad thing.
I suspect that would require substantive dialogue among the stakeholders to arrive at a common view.
And it would mean?
And everybody would have to buy in. It's not just dialogue, it's buy-in. It's getting the stakeholders to sit at a table and agree that even though I spend most of my time out there fighting with you in terms of rival factions, as it were, behind this table and with this goal in mind, we're all going to move towards it. We'll compete with each other on the way, but we're all heading down that road.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is some people will not be served by this and other people will. But, countries have managed to get past that. And it's just a matter of reorienting your private sector, or reorienting subsectors within your private sector to get on the bandwagon, basically. Because you've made the case as to why this is something we need to pursue as a country. You can't just say, well, I think we need for the XYZ without trying to be able to sell it to those who have investments on the ground. People are invested in specific sectors, and they're going to want to maintain that.
Well, I've noted other countries because the foreign direct investment pool, although you said it's $1.something trillion, it's still, it has shrunk over.
It has shrunk.
And you've seen, or we've seen some countries actually rallying very hard to attract.
To attract, exactly.
The FDI.
Exactly.
Maybe we need to look at something similar.
Not maybe. I think
it's imperative.
Yeah, I think it's imperative. Latin America alone, and this in the investment report, Latin America and the Caribbean are lumped together. $159 billion came to Latin America and the Caribbean in 2010. Belize got less than $1 billion, right? Less than $1 billion. And like I said, we have so many options that it's just a matter of will, I suppose, and vision at this point, that we're not in a position to take full advantage of what's out there. No. The other argument is, but if we do that, then does that mean that we're at the beck and call of foreigners? and having just come off of the formally the 9th Amendment discussion in that 4-part series, it's an issue. It's an issue. I think it was on the last show where the word xenophobia was thrown about. And I will do so now, as I did on that show. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that it's simply a matter of wanting to reorient the public utility sectors to a state that's more amenable to our development. and I hope that that is a thrust, and not that it was owned by a foreigner and it needed to, we needed to get it back into Belizean hands.
But why does it have to be an either-or situation? And I'm not saying it for you, but
Yeah,
but people
agreed.
seem to think, well, if we let in the foreigners, they will take over and they all-consuming evil. The thing is that if you get credible, legitimate investors of any stripe, be they Belizean or foreign or whatever, legitimate and credible means that they will adhere to the rules of your particular jurisdiction. They will do what it takes to get ahead, but within certain legal and moral and ethical parameters, and they'll be a part of the development that you face. If that's a bunch of foreigners, let them come and discover the gem that Belize is, but let Belize take advantage of their presence in terms of learning technology, investing in and of itself. If a company comes to Belize, they need certain services, they need certain activities, they need certain a certain workforce. They actually draw success to themselves.
Well, I believe that if we look at the argument on nationalization, in and of itself, that makes the case, the strongest case, I'd say, for us to have, to be able to articulate investment policies and investment guidelines. Because keep in mind, as it relates to the telecoms company in particular, it is said that a part of the reason why nationalization was imperative was because they went outside of what would be a normal investment arrangement.
Right.
So I think that in and of itself makes the strongest case for us to have properly articulated investment rules and regulations that are applicable to both
local
FDIs and
all
and
around.
local.
And that's the thing. Several things that people resent when they're doing investment. Why is it that what I want to invest in isn't incentivized like what you want to invest in? That's something that has to be coherently delivered. If you're going to single out certain industries because that's where our development lies, explain it. Give everybody an opportunity to get involved. Incentivize it in that respect. What we tend to do here is say, well, Celine wants to invest, so we'll treat her really well, but Jose, don't like you too much, so we'll leave you to one side. We need to be coherent in our strategy. We need to be open with our strategy. And then turning it around to what you just said, the issue there is you can't tear down the fence as the bureaucracy, tear down the fence, let the investor have his way, and then the attitude is, well, let's shut down all investment because everybody's the same way. No. You build your fences and you make sure people stay within them and you react accordingly. That's why we have a full legal system.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to get back to the issue of the xenophobia because it's been thrown at me personally. Why Belizeans can't do it? Why we need, and it's unfortunate, but the phrase is why we need the white man, and it's not, as you pointed out, it's not an either or scenario. What we need is money, period. And whoever has the money is what we need. And at the end of the day, it's for us to decide who we want that has the money and what we want that those individuals to do with their money for Belize and Belize's development. And that should be our only concern.
What we should
End of story.
Rather than worrying about that, what we should be worrying about is how to make ourselves needed. Why is it, for example, what edge can we build that people feel, I have to deal with Belize on this particular industry or activity or service or whatever. Boy, Belize is the place to go to answer that need. Make ourselves, increase our brand, enhance ourselves, and make ourselves absolutely desirable out there. We do it in tourism.
Well, that comes back to what I asked at the onset, the wish list. What are some of the issues you see that absolutely, you outlined a few of them, tax reform, financing, red tape, crime, corruption. What are the core issues you believe should be on that wish list?
I think that at the top of my wish list is some appreciation for the fact that public-private partnerships are what drive development and growth. And unless and until the public sector and the private sector can sit down and listen to each other and hear each other and decide, you know what, we need each other, I think there's going to be an issue. And so in terms of an investment climate and in terms of the private sector going forward, I think that would be at the top of my wish list. To be understood and respected as the other entity that drives development for Belize, and to know and to understand and to trust that we have Belize's development at heart. End of story. You know, I think that's very important going forward.
On that note, we go to a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Zaina, and my life moves fast. I need an internet mobile solution that's fast, affordable, and easy to access. Thank goodness for SmartSmooth 3G portable internet modem. Check this out. Now I can get mobile broadband at fast speed. I can download my emails, update my status. All I need is this little USB modem. So go ahead, sign up for Smart's 3G mobile internet modem today and get moving while staying connected to the fastest 3G network in Belize.
Visit our showrooms countrywide for the launch of our Smart Zoom service this Friday, November 18th, to check out our data packages or for a special 20% discount on Smart Zoom dongles and data-capable phones. Plus, get a chance to win a free HTC Wildfire with a free data package. So hurry in this Friday, November 18th to any Smart showroom countrywide.
Smart, bringing people together.
Believe all possible works. Believe that you could win up to $30,000 dream home makeover courtesy World. A well-deserved spa day at Oxley Spa from Mabe. Believe that you can get the best brands at the best prices guaranteed, and that you can only pay $1 down. All of these and more Passport Quartz, and that you can't believe. Quartz, bringing value home. Certain conditions apply.
The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Western Union, has recently been distinguished by receiving the 5-Star Quality Service Award from Western Union.
The 5-Star Quality Service Award signifies that the Chamber holds the gold standard in outstanding customer service, in being courteous, efficient, and transparent in the services we provide.
Can you receive superior customer service at any of our Chamber locations?
Yes. Come and visit us today!
This season, say happy holidays to your customers the personal way. Get your personalized corporate holiday greeting cards now at Idea Lab Studios, and we'll give you the design at 50% off with orders of 500 or more. Get your 2012 calendars ready too with custom desk, wall, and pocket calendars. Idea Lab Studios, where ideas take shape. Call us today at 223-6386 or visit our website at www.idealabstudios.com.
Welcome back. And to pass that question to you now, Kay, what is your addition to the wish list?
Well, several, but one of the things is that I think we need to have a more active and vibrant public. The business sector is speaking out through us. Our members have been communicating with us on the topic, but I think everybody needs to realize that they have a role to play in all of this, including, and this is where I'm going to use the word non-partisan. We need a non-partisan approach that calls for full inclusion of the entire population. Because whether, okay, I might not have a business, I might be somebody that's looking to go to university. Let me know what the plans are for development in my country, and let me then determine my educational plans accordingly. Let me have that opportunity. And the non-partisan part comes from, you can't have a country being governed half at a time. And we have multiple political parties at this point. We have at least 4 or 5. Every one of them wishes and aspires to lead this country, which means every one of them should have a say and take a say in how that country, what direction that country is going to go in. So non-partisan is key to development.
No, I know a lot of work has been done, background work as it relates to studies on the investment climate. We've had multiple export strategies being developed over and over again. And unfortunately,
I think we're doing it again right now.
Right. It goes through and it's shelved, and we don't act on it. And I must say, this is a common practice of government for many, many years. It's not a new practice.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that maybe, or thinking aloud, do you believe we should do some sort of a consultation model, somewhat like the Horizon 2030, to be able to get but two things. One, to say to the public and to the widest private sector community out there, look, these are some of the areas that have been identified. What is your feedback? So that we can consolidate and get that national buy-in, which I hear you saying is quite important.
Something of the scale of the Horizon 2030 takes a lot of money, and I am not of the opinion that that's what needs to be. I think we need to, I think we need to convene focus groups. Yes, I do, but it needs to be a very narrow discussion on the economy and investments and what needs to happen going forward. And in fact, late last year, in November of 2010, we worked with the IDB and the government of Belize to bring Dr. Ricardo Hausman, who was a Harvard professor who had done some work on Belize about productive development strategies and policies. And in fact, that was meant to be the impetus for the same types of focus group discussions going forward. So that, and his message was essentially that, look, it's not rocket science. You all have advantages in these areas. If you want to develop, you need to undergo some structural transformation to get to maybe, and he, to get to other areas where you have comparative advantages. I don't know, okay, he called it making the leap, monkey from, the monkey leaps from one tree to the next. And some of the areas that he talked about were things like, non-traditional agriculture, forest products, processed foods, mariculture. Those are areas that he thinks, based on his work on Belize, that we have some comparative advantages in and that we need to exploit. And he was meant to focus the discussion for those who cared to discuss where Belize needs to be 10 years from now. And so to answer that question, I think that Horizon 2030 provides also the framework in which we can operate, but we need to address the economy, the economic issues, and the investment issues right away. And so convening, members of the chamber certainly, and members who are, and people who are not members of the chamber, but who operate aggressively in the private sector, to sit and discuss these issues, but with a focus, because everybody is going to want to make a case for their sector and why it is that their sector is important. But if we have some independent and not necessarily a study, but some independent device that we're able to lean on to say, well, objectively, when we've assessed it objectively, this is where we need to be. How can you contribute or not to this process? And where it is that you think we need to be 10 years from now. And that kind of forward-looking discussion needs to happen.
Well, I want to take it a step back from that and even say I agree fully with what you're saying, but to lay the baseline and the foundation, there are some fundamental things that can be done without consultation. Basic common sense says, if I'm going to start a business, is it as easy as it should be? If I'm going to make a loan, what is it that happens here? We have, and we haven't used the C word a whole lot in this discussion, but we have a confidence issue right now. The economy has slowed down just a bit, and things aren't happening as we would want them to. So people are getting increasingly cautious. Instead of things ramping up and happening faster, what's happening is everybody's keeping their money close to their chest. They're opting not to invest outside of slapping something in a fixed deposit. And as a result, the banks are extremely liquid. Interest rates are beginning to come down, but people aren't borrowing because they're not sure what tomorrow will bring. If I want to build an addition on my house, will I have a job tomorrow to pay the loan? if I want to expand my business and hire 10 more people, will my business have the increased number of customers I need to pay for that? That's a thing called confidence. And that's the kind of thing that's really lacking right now in an economy in this sort of shape. So to boost that confidence, there's some fundamental things that can be done. Taxes can be reorganized a bit. You know, startup costs of doing business or red tape surrounding the doing business, ease up on land transfers, you know, tidy up some of the red tape there. You know, things that don't necessarily involve making a loan to cover the budget or anything like that. It's simply procedural. And make it easier and start to loosen things from the regulatory side so that the financial side can start to kick in. That means that whether you're growing citrus or you have a little shop on the corner, or you're making Johnny cakes, or you're selling goods at factory level, any which way, those fundamentals are essential to you.
But again, coming back, I think one of the points you raised on this issue of xenophobia and can't we do it alone, I think to a certain extent we might be the converted on the value of investment, both domestic and local. Sorry, domestic and foreign. But the general public out there are not necessarily au fait with how it works. And maybe we might be assuming that there's some a general understanding of the importance of investment in the economy, but maybe we need to do a bit more groundwork to preach the gospel of investment and the value of private investment at that.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. Unfortunately, I think the most recent actions of the Ninth Amendment just set us back, quite a lot in terms of how our country approaches investments. And it's unfortunate that a part of the conversation had to be about who the investor is, as opposed to the value that the investor brings. Please don't get me wrong. I am not saying that the investors involved in the Ninth Amendment discussions were either good or bad for Belize. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we have to look beyond who the investor is to what his money can do for developing Belize and the type of investor we want. And in my view, therein lies the problem, because we needed to from the outset, we should have defined the type of investment and the type of investor we wanted, and ensured, and the government of the day, whoever that was, and it was the previous government, should have ensured that we got the type of investor we wanted and the type of investment we wanted. That is their mandate, and that's a lesson we should learn. That's my point is, we don't want to see this happen again.
Well, we are agreeing on one thing. As I said, I think that whole fiasco is one of the perfect examples that makes the case why we need properly defined rules and regulations.
But how do it's I agree with you, but it's that much harder now because we've managed to bring personalities into the investment discussion, and it doesn't have a place.
But
money.
But I think we have to move beyond that.
We do.
We absolutely need to move
that is the point.
Beyond that. And it's not an issue that will go away. I mean, that will be fought on for the next couple of years. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
But then those of us that have to earn an honest living have to find another way, other avenues for investment. And so it's how can we move in that respect?
The only thing we could do is continue to dialogue, with our constituents, certainly, and those of the chamber, and other people who care to listen.
Unless we've taken the approach, and Celine said it earlier, the public-private dialogue is key. The public-private partnership, without that, you're not going to get any progress whatsoever. Both sides have to, and that was what our symposium was about last year, was building the public-private dialogue into a partnership and making sure that when we move ahead, we both move ahead together.
One clarification, public-private partnership has a connotation of its own. But in this respect, you're speaking as it relates to
Sorry.
dialogue.
Yeah, let me be very, very clear. I'm starting with dialogue and saying with the dialogue going the right way, you build it into a partnership. And specifically that partnership is between the private sector and the public sector being government. I'm not saying which government either. Every government that's in charge has to be in charge of the entire country and its private sector. So it has to be a dialogue that's ongoing, never ending, always moving forward.
And Jose, one of the things that we never discuss when we talk about investments is that, there are also outflows. Why a Belizean company can't invest in some other country? Why can't we be, the provider of FDI outflows
Excellent
as opposed to just being, just being the recipient of inflows, which is very important. But I mean, all that needs to be a part of the investment dialogue. And we don't need to, that's the point I was trying to make earlier. Throwing in the personalities of the investor just diffuses the focus on what is important in the investment dialogue, and that is building up Belizean businesses so that we can actually be the ones investing in other areas, in other countries. Why not? Why not?
There's a lot of contradiction in the investment system as it is right now. I'll give you one that I'm quite aware of, and that's in the food sector, for example, where you have to be a fairly large company to be able to invest and benefit from an export processing zone.
Right.
That means you operate in a virtually tax-free environment, but your product must be exported. So in effect, we're subsidizing the foreign plate of food.
Yeah.
While the domestic producers who are producing for domestic consumption, and when there's this question of cheaper food, the requirement for cheaper food, they are carrying the full tax burden. And it's that sort of fundamental changes that we need, the reorientation, not to take away any competitive edge we might have in terms of exporting, but allowing the smaller importers, the smaller producers to compete with foreign imports and to be having and to have a fair
level playing field. I agree.
That was one of the points that we tried to bring across when we did the release on sugar, was not to say don't let the foreign guy invest, but to say whatever breaks he gets, extend it to the other players in the sector. Let the sector have the advantage, and that's what I was referring to early on. If you're going to say that this sector has preference, then this sector must have preference, not individual players within that sector.
Right.
That's when the problems and the imbalances start to occur, and that's when we end up kind of behind the starting point. So if we identify that X sector, agricultural or light manufacturing or services or whatever, is an advantage, then it doesn't matter who's the player in the sector. The point is that everybody gets a level playing field to move ahead with for the benefit of the country.
And it's important to also, to remember that, if you're going to redistribute wealth, you have to create wealth first. And these days people are throwing around pro-poor policies quite a lot, and it's a laudable policy position, but in order to develop pro-poor policies, you have to have the creation of wealth, because it has to be funded somehow. And so it's, profit is not a bad word. It's not a terrible connotation to suggest that that the creation of wealth is somehow terrible and must not be considered. Because in order for wealth to be redistributed again, there has to be the creation of it.
I believe that pro-poor policies are usually emergency measures. It's a signal that other areas of our economy has failed or are failing. And I do believe, while I'm supportive of it as a stopgap emergency measure, it cannot be the basis for long-term
there has to be some
development.
kind of plan in between that says, all right, while I'm doing this to bridge the problem, I am also solving it with this particular measure.
Right. It has to be in parallel to an investment
and
policy.
I agree with you as well.
There are pro-poor policies that are long-term and forward-looking. There are, but it has to be balanced, and it has to be offset by something else. So
well, there has to be a strategy to it.
Yes.
And the strategy has to say that, all right, today we're starting out here, handing you a plate of food, but by the end of this period of time, you're going to have an education, a skill, and a job.
Exactly.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, with that, we must go to our final break.
This season, say happy holidays to your customers the personal way. Get your personalized corporate holiday greeting cards now at Idea Lab Studios, and we'll give you the design at 50% off with orders of 500 or more. Get your 2012 calendars ready too with custom desk, wall, and pocket calendars. Idea Lab Studios, where ideas take shape. Call us today at 223-6386 or visit our website at www.idealabstudios.com.
Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. Brothers Habet has been serving Belize for 28 great years, and we're celebrating bigger than ever with a month full of great deals and savings like 30% off select Moen products, 30% off butane water heaters, 20 to 30% off Hunter fans, 20% off all windows, 20% off all power tools and shop tools, 30% off compact fluorescent bulbs, and up to 80% off clearance items in our super yard sale. Also, win up to $3,000 cash this Christmas when you buy Berger Paints. Too much deals for one commercial, so see store for details. Come, celebrate with us for huge pre-Christmas savings all month long. Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. 115 Barak Road, we're open through lunch.
The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Western Union, has recently been distinguished by receiving the 5-Star Quality Service Award from Western Union.
The 5-Star Quality Service Award signifies that the Chamber holds the gold standard in outstanding customer service, in being courteous, efficient, and transparent in the services we provide.
Can you receive superior customer service at any of our Chamber locations?
Yes. Come and visit us today!
Welcome back to our final segment. Just to remind our viewers that your comments, your questions, and your views should certainly be sent to us at businessperspective@belize.org. From the discussion we've been having, the common theme I get is dialogue, but dialogue with a purpose.
That's absolutely, if we're going to wrap up on any theme whatsoever, it has to be dialogue with a purpose. If we're all going to get together and just talk and talk and talk and talk, we're not going to achieve anything. Exactly. The point has to be that we all have to get together, all 300 and something thousand of us as Belizeans, and say, I want my country to get ahead. How do I want my country to get ahead? This is what I think we can achieve together. It can't be just government. It can't be just one political party. It can't be just the private sector. It has to be everybody working in tandem, from students, every citizen that's participating, everybody who shops in this economy, everybody who participates in this economy is a taxpayer. The government runs on our taxes. We pay their salaries. And as a result, we have a partnership with them already implicit in the fact that we participate in the revenue end of things. Now, we need to take that a step further and not just talk about well, you know, I want this. We need to start to work to achieve it as a country and say, guess what? This is my country. I know it can take off because I know, and I think everybody around this table knows, that this country can do amazing things. Yeah. But we've got to get together on it and stop tearing ourselves apart and just say, okay, let's do the job we were meant to do and just do it.
Yeah.
Your final thoughts and your parting shot.
That's just unfair, Jose. How do you follow that? I mean, basically what she said, but you know, picking up from what she said, we have a combined destiny. We either sink or we float together. Mm-hmm. So unless and until we recognize that fact, we're not going to get anywhere. So I'd like to take the few minutes I have left, Jose, if you'll permit me, to say thank you. As I said at the top of the hour, I am moving on at the end of this month, and I wanted to say heartfelt thank you to those who have encouraged and supported me all the way through the last 3 years. It's been my privilege to serve as your CEO and certainly to serve the private sector. And I'm very, very proud of the fact that during my tenure, The chamber, I would like to think, became a key actor in the democratic process. Has always been, but certainly I think we were more visible during that time, or we are more visible, and it's something that I'm extremely proud of. I'd like to also acknowledge the Secretariat for their support, because without them, certainly it would have been a lot harder. So it is with my blessings that you take over Business Perspectives. But it also has been, my pleasure to serve as host and, of course, as the CEO of the Chamber. So thank you.
And if I can jump in here and use my presidential rank, Celine, thank you for the time you've worked with us at the Chamber. It's never easy doing what you do, and in particular, you had the challenge of remaking the Chamber in a time that could have been seen or is challenging. What I wanted to thank you for is for making my job easier. Over the last couple of years that I've worked with you. It has been a distinct pleasure, and I wish you well, and trust me, we're not letting you get away that easily, so you will remain somehow entangled with the Chamber throughout.
Indeed, I believe the Chamber can only be as effective as the people behind it, those at the front line like yourself, serving in a capacity in the Executive Council and then as CEO, but also to the wider membership. And I really do wish that our membership would pay a small percentage of their attention that they should to the workings of the Chamber.
Yes.
It will make it ever more stronger. We definitely want to wish you well in your new undertaking. You'll be out of Belize, but I can assure you, you will not be far from the Chamber, because we will be calling on you. With that, I'd like to thank viewers for joining us for another edition of Business Perspective. Have a good night.
Good night.